ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा, आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत है आज के इस सत्र में। तो हम लोग कल चर्चा कर रहे थे कल हम चर्चा कर रहे थे, देख पा रहे हैं आप लोग स्क्रीन? सभी लोग देख पा रहे हैं?
जी प्रभु।
ओके। कल हमारी चर्चा हो रही थी कि हरिदास ठाकुर कौन है। हरिदास ठाकुर साक्षात ब्रह्मा जी हैं जो इस कलयुग में आए हैं। और क्यों ब्रह्मा जी कलयुग में आए थे? क्योंकि उन्हें लगा था कि भगवान ने उनका ऑफेंस को अभी तक क्षमा नहीं किया है। कौन सा ऑफेंस? ब्रह्म विमोहन लीला में उन्होंने भगवान से उनके भक्तों को दूर किया था, है ना। और हमने ये भी सुना हरिदास ठाकुर का जन्म एक मुसलमान परिवार में हुआ और वे 192 राउंड्स का जप किया करते थे हर दिन। साथ साथ कई बार उन्हें प्रयास किया गया कि आप ये हरि नाम का जप करना बंद कर दीजिए लेकिन फिर भी उन्होंने जप करना बंद नहीं किया और उनको 22 बाजारों में मारा गया, लेकिन फिर भी उन्हें कुछ नहीं हुआ। और इस प्रकार से ये सब उनकी युवा अवस्था की लीलाएं हैं। फिर हमने देखा कि कैसे फिर वो वृद्धावस्था में जगन्नाथपुरी में रहने के लिए आए, जहाँ पे चैतन्य महाप्रभु से उनकी रेगुलरली भेंट होती थी। कल हमने चर्चा करा था कि किस एक बार चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने उनसे पूछा कि कैसे यवन लोगों का उद्धार हो सकता है। तब हरिदास ठाकुर ने बताया कि नाम आभास। नाम आभास मतलब जहाँ पे नाम का आभास हो रहा है संकेत के माध्यम से, तब नाम आभास में इतनी शक्ति होती है कि नाम आभास किसी को शुद्ध कर सकता है। तो शुद्ध नाम का कहना ही क्या, बंद कर दीजिए, बाहर से लॉक कर दीजिए दरवाजे लगा दीजिए इस तरीके से। ठीक है। तो किस प्रकार से जैसे अजामिल का उद्धार हुआ था, ये सब प्रसंग पे हमने कल पढ़ा था। यहाँ से शुरू करते हैं। कोई ट्रांसलेशन पढ़ सकता है इसका? मैं जिसको बोलूंगा वो पढ़ेंगे तो कंफ्यूजन नहीं होगा। ठीक है तो गति कृष्ण पढ़ो इसका ट्रांसलेशन।
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
हम्म।
If a devotee once utters the holy name of the Lord, or if it penetrates his mind or enters his ear, which is the channel of oral reception, the holy name will certainly deliver him from material bondage, whether vibrated properly or improperly, with correct or incorrect grammar, or properly joined or vibrated in separate parts. O Brahman, the potency of the holy name is therefore certainly great. However, if one uses the vibration of the holy name for the benefit of the material body, for material wealth and followers, or under the influence of greed or atheism, in other words, if one utters the name of the name with offenses, such chanting will not produce the desired result very soon. Therefore, one should diligently avoid offense in chanting the holy name of the Lord.
हम्म। वन शुड diligently avoid diligently avoid the offenses। यद्यपि किसी भी प्रकार से नाम जप करेगा व्यक्ति तो उसको लाभ मिलेगा, लेकिन अगर अगर वो अवॉइड करेगा ऑफेंसेस। मैं एक्चुअली क्लास को आधा घंटा इसलिए पोस्टपोन कर दिया क्योंकि यहाँ पे बहुत प्रोग्राम चल रहे थे, शो रहा, लेकिन प्रोग्राम अभी भी चल रहे हैं। डिस्टरबेंस हो रहा है क्या आप लोगों को?
नहीं प्रभु जी।
चलेगा ना? हाँ,
नहीं ब्रो।
ठीक है। तो वन शुड डिलिजेंटली अवॉइड ऑफेंसेस इन द चैंटिंग ऑफ द होली नेम, है ना। अगर कोई व्यक्ति डिजायर्ड रिजल्ट चाहता है तो उसको ऑफेंसेस अवॉइड करना चाहिए। ऑफेंसेस कौन से हैं तो ध्यान से सुनिए। 10 ऑफेंसेस। ओके, इसको पढ़िए, कौन पढ़ेगा? आशुतोष आप पढ़िए। 10 ऑफेंसेस क्या क्या है, पढ़िए इसको। पढ़िए इसको
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु।
हाँ पढ़िए।
जी प्रभु जी। जी।
फर्स्ट।
तो ब्लास्फेम, प्रभु जी ब्लास्फेम है ना?
हाँ, ब्लास्फेम।
To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Second, to consider the name of demigod like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. To disobey the order of the spiritual master. To blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in
परसुएंस।
pursuance to the Vedic.
भरूच में वो डिनर डिनर भरूच में है ना। पहले कौन सा प्लेट है? यह रास्ते में
Hello, Hare
हाँ
Krishna Prabhu.
बोलिए।
To consider the glories
ऐसे
of
बोलो, फिफ्थ।
chanting Hare Krishna
फिफ्थ,
to be
टू कंसिडर द
unimaginable.
ग्लोरीज ऑफ चैंटिंग। फिफ्थ ऐसे बोलो।
Fifth, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Sixth, to give some interpers-
इंटरप्रिटेशंस।
interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. Seventh, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas are fruitive activities, karma kanda. Ninth, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10th, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachment even after understanding so many instruction on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting.
इन अटेंटिव।
Attentive in while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against this offense in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema.
जप करते समय इन 10 नामों को, 10 अपराधों से बचना चाहिए, है ना। अगर कोई व्यक्ति इस 10 नाम अपराध से बचता हुआ जप करेगा तो बहुत शीघ्र प्रगति करेगा आध्यात्मिक जीवन में। पढ़िए, अविनाश पढ़िए।
नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर continued, if one offenselessly utters the holy name, even imperfectly, one can be freed from all the result of sinful life.
हम्म पढ़िए।
O reservoir of all good qualities, just worship Sri Krishna. the purifier of all purifiers, the most exalted of the personalities, worshipped by choice poetry, worshipped in with a faithful, unflinching mind, without duplicity and in a highly elevated manner. Thus worship the Lord, whose name is like the sun. For just as a slight appearance of the sun dissipates the darkness of night, the light appearance of the holy name of Krishna can drive away all the darkness of ignorance that arises in the heart due to greatly sinful activities performed in previous life.
हाँ, यहाँ पे एनालॉजी दी जा रही है कि जैसे अभी सूर्य का उदय नहीं हुआ होता है लेकिन अंधकार दूर चला जाता है। सुबह सुबह आप लोगों ने ऑब्जर्व किया, सुबह सुबह मान लीजिए 5-6 बजे के आसपास अभी सूर्य आकाश में दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है, लेकिन सूर्य के प्रकाश के आने से अंधकार जा चुका है। तो सूर्य की तुलना करी गई है शुद्ध नाम से। अभी तक शुद्ध नाम का उदय नहीं हुआ है, लेकिन क्योंकि केवल नाम का आभास मात्र है, जैसे सूर्य की रोशनी, तो भी अंधकार वाला का जो जो सिंफुल एक्टिविटी रूपी जो अंधकार है वो दूर चला जाता है। ये ऑब्जर्व किया आप लोगों ने? ये एनालॉजी समझ आती है अंकित? क्या एनालॉजी
जी
है?
प्रभु जी।
क्या एनालॉजी दी गई है?
जैसे सुबह में अगर सूर्य जैसे निकलता भी मतलब अपने को दिखता भी नहीं है, फिर भी अंधेरा जो होता है वो चला जाता है।
हाँ,
सेम उसी तरह अगर नाम उच्चारण शुद्ध भी ना हो, मतलब ग्रामेटिकली अगर गलत हो या उच्चारण में गलत हो रहा हो या भाव से नहीं किया गया, फिर भी नाम उच्चारण का बहुत प्रभाव होता है।
बहुत प्रभाव होता है। वेरी गुड, पढ़िए इसको।
Even a faint light from the holy name of Lord can eradicate all the reactions of sinful life.
इवन फेंट लाइट, फेंट लाइट पूरी पूरी अभी तरीके से नामाभास हो ये संसारे क्षय। पढ़िए।
While dying, Ajamil chanted the holy name of the Lord, intending to call his son Narayana. Nevertheless, he attained the spiritual world. What then to speak of those who chant the holy name with faith and reverence?
विद फेथ एंड रेवरेंस, बड़ा अच्छा वर्ड है, विद फेथ एंड रेवरेंस। अजामिल ने फेथ एंड रेवरेंस के साथ जप नहीं किया तो भी उसको बेनिफिट हुआ, तो फिर कोई व्यक्ति फेथ एंड रेवरेंस के साथ जप करेगा तो उसका क्या होगा? इसको पढ़िए।
Because of even the faintest ray of the effulgence of the Lord's holy name, one can attain liberation. We can see this in all the revealed scriptures. The evidence appears in the story of Ajamil in Srimad Bhagavatam.
हम्म
As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this from Haridas Thakur, the happiness within his heart increased, but as the matter of course, he still inquired further.
अब और कुछ पूछ रहे हैं, क्या पूछ रहे हैं चैतन्य महाप्रभु? हम्म
On this earth, there are many living entities, the Lord said, some moving and some not moving. What will happen to the trees, plants, insects, and other living entities? How will they be delivered from this material bondage? Haridas Thakur replied, My dear Lord, the deliverance of all moving and non moving living entities takes place only by your mercy. You have already granted this mercy and delivered them. You have loudly chanted the Hare Krishna mantra, and everyone, moving or not moving, has benefited by hearing it
हाँ, कैसे जप करना चाहिए?
loudly.
लाउडली करना चाहिए, ताकि हॉस्टल में और जो कमरे में 2-4 लोग और बैठे हैं उनका भी उद्धार हो जाए। समझ रहे हैं? वन शुड लाउडली चैंट। समझ रहा है आशुतोष? गति कृष्ण,
जी प्रभु जी।
क्या लिखा है यहाँ पे?
जो चैंटिंग वो लाउडली करना चाहिए,
जिससे क्या हो?
जिससे हमारे आसपास भी जो लोग होंगे उनके कान में भी वो पड़ेगा तो वो भी शुद्ध हो जाएंगे।
हाँ, वेरी गुड। यस, पढ़िए इसको।
My Lord, the moving entities who have heard your loud Sankirtana have already been delivered from bondage to the material world. And after the non-moving living entities like trees hear it, there is an echo. Actually, however, it is not an echo. It is the kirtana of the non-moving living entities. All this, although inconceivable, is possible by your mercy.
Although inconceivable, but is possible by your mercy.
Mercy. When loud chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is performed all over the world by those who follow in your footsteps, all living entities, moving and non-moving, dance in ecstatic devotional love.
हाँ, सकल जगत है उच्च संकीर्तन, सुनिया प्रेम वेश नाचे स्थावर जंगम. So when loud chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is performed all over the world by those who follow in your footsteps, all living entities, moving and non-living, moving and non-moving, dance in ecstatic devotional love.
My dear Lord, all the incidents that took place while you were going to Vrindavan through the forest known as Jharikhanda have been related to me by your servant Balbhadra Bhattacharya.
देखा आप लोगों ने चैतन्य महाप्रभु. ये देखिए.
झारखंड में है प्रभु जी ये.
हाँ, आप लोग झारखंड से.
जी प्रभु जी.
बस ये आप लोग के लिए. जब चैतन्य महाप्रभु झारखंड में गए थे तो ऐसे नाच रहे थे, तो उनके साथ साथ इस तरीके से शेर और हाथी, और देखो ये क्या कर रहे हैं, हिरण और शेर भी चुंबन कर रहे हैं एक दूसरे से. सब नाच उठे थे. इसका मतलब है कि हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की इतनी पोटेंसी है कि बिल्कुल विपरीत गुण वाले जो जानवर है वो भी प्रेम मैत्री में हो जाते हैं. यह इसका अर्थ है कि व्यक्ति हृदय की जो द्वेष भावना है वो खत्म हो जाती है और सब लोग मिलकर के एक साथ नाम संकीर्तन कर सकते हैं.
When your devotee Vasudev Datta submitted his plea at your lotus feet for the deliverance of all living entities, you accepted that request. My dear Lord, you have accepted the form of a devotee just to deliver all the fallen souls of this world. You have preached the loud chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and in this way freed all moving and non-moving living entities from material bondage. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, if all living entities are liberated, the entire universe will be devoid of living beings. Haridas said, my Lord, as long as you are situated within the material world, you will send to the spiritual sky all the developed moving and non-moving living entities in different species. Then again you will be awaken the living entities who are not yet developed and engage them in activities. In this way, all the moving and non-moving living entities will come into existence and the entire universe will be filled as it was previously.
पढ़ पढ़िए.
While we are preaching, opposing elements sometimes argue if all living entities were delivered by Krishna consciousness movement, what would happen then? The universe would be devoid of living entities. In answer to this, we may say that in prison there are many prisoners, but if one thinks that prison would be empty if all the prisoners adopted good behavior, he is innocent. Even if all the
He
prisoners
is
within the jail are
incorrect.
freed,
He is incorrect.
he is incorrect. Even if all the prisoners within a jail are freed, other criminals will fill it again. A prison will never be vacant, for there are many prospective criminals who will fill the prison cells. Even if the present criminals are freed by the government, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, it's Karanam Guna Sango Syas Sad Asad Yoni Janmasu. Because of the living entity's association with the material nature, he meets the God and evil among various species. There are many unmanifested living entities covered by the mode of ignorance who will gradually come to the mode of passion. Most of them will become criminals because of their fruitive activities and again fill the prisons.
हम्म
Previously, when Lord Ramachandra left this world, he took with him all the living entities to Ayodhya. Then he filled Ayodhya again with other living entities. My dear Lord, you have set a plan in motion by descending to the material world, but no one can understand how you are acting. Formerly, when Lord Krishna descended in Vrindavan, he freed all living entities in the universe from material existence in the same way. Krishna, the unborn Supreme Personality of Godhead, Master of all masters of mystic power, delivers all living entities, moving and non moving. Nothing is astonishing in the activities of Lord. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead may be seen, glorified, or remembered with an attitude of envy, he nevertheless awards the most confidential liberation which is rarely achieved by the demigods and the demons. What then can be said of those who are already fully engaged in devotional service of the Lord? By descending as an incarnation of Navadipa, you, just like Krishna, have already delivered all the living entities of the universe. One may say that he understands the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He may know whatever he may know, but as far as I am concerned, this is my conclusion. My dear Lord, your pastimes are just like an ocean of nectar. It is not possible for me to conceive how great that ocean is, or even to understand a drop of it. Hearing all this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was astonished. These are actually my confidential pastimes. He thought, how could Haridas have understood them? Greatly satisfied by the statements of Haridas Thakur, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embarrassed him,
embrace
embraced him
embrace
outwardly, embraced him outwardly. However, he avoided further discussion of this matter. This is a characteristic of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he wants to cover his opulence, he cannot do so before his devotees. This is well known everywhere. O my Lord, everything within material nature is limited by time, space, and thought. Your characteristics, however, being unequaled and unsurpassed, are always transcendental to such limitations. You sometimes cover such characteristics by your own energy, but nevertheless, your unalloyed devotees are always able to see you under all circumstances. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to his personal devotees and began speaking about Haridas Thakur's transcendental qualities as if he had hundreds of mouths. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu derives great pleasure of glorifying his devotees, and among the devotees, Haridas Thakur is the foremost. The transcendental qualities of Haridas Thakur are innumerable and unfathomable. One may describe a portion of them, but to count them all is impossible. In the Chaitanya Mangala, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has described the attributes of Haridas Thakur to some extent. No one can describe all the qualities of Haridas Thakur. One may say something about them just to purify himself.
कभी कभी किसी वैष्णव के गुणों का गान किया जाता है तो ये बोला जाता है कि ये वैष्णव इतने महान है कि मैं इनके सारे गुणों का गान नहीं कर सकता, लेकिन अपने शुद्धिकरण के लिए मैं कुछ बताऊंगा इस तरीके से.
O devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please hear something about the qualities of Haridas Thakur that Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has not described in detail. After leaving his home, Haridas Thakur stayed for some time in the forest of Benapola. Haridas Thakur constructed a cottage in the solitary forest. There he planted a tulsi plant, and in front of that tulsi he would chant the holy name of the Lord 3 lakh times daily. He chanted throughout the entire day and night. Purport. The village of Benapola is situated in the district of Yashohara, which is now in Bangladesh. Benapola is near the Banagaon station, which is at the border of Bangladesh and may be reached by the Eastern Railway of Sialda station in Calcutta. Haridas Thakur, being the Acharya of the chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is called Nam Acharya Haridas Thakur. From his personal example, we can understand that chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and becoming highly elevated in Krishna consciousness is very simple. Without difficulty, one can sit down anywhere, especially on the bank of the Ganga, Yamuna, or any other sacred river, devise a sitting place or cottage, plant a tulsi tree, and before the tulsi chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra undisturbed. Haridas Thakur used to chant the holy name of the beads 3 lakh times daily. Throughout the entire day and night, he would chant the 16 names of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. One should not, however, imitate Haridas Thakur, for no one else can chant the holy name 3 lakh times daily, times a day. Such chanting is for Mukta Purusa or liberated soul. We can follow his example, however, by chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra on beads every day and offering respect to the Tulsi plant. This is not at all difficult for anyone, and the process of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra with bow before the Tulsi plant has great spiritual potency, that simply by doing this one can become spiritually strong. Therefore, we request the members of Hare Krishna movement to follow Haridas Thakur example rigidly. Chanting 16 rounds does not take much time, nor is offering respects to the Tulsi plant difficult. The process has immense spiritual potency. One should not miss this opportunity.
क्या बोल रहे हैं प्रभुपाद यहाँ पे? गति कृष्ण क्या बोल रहे हैं प्रभुपाद जी? आर्यन प्रभुपाद जी क्या बोल रहे हैं यहाँ पे?
तो ये करना आसान है चैंटिंग, और हर किसी को करना चाहिए। 16 राउंड करना चाहिए।
16 राउंड। आशुतोष प्रभु क्या बोल रहे हैं प्रभुपाद जी? स्वयं प्रभु क्या बोल रहे हैं प्रभुपाद जी?
प्रभु जी प्रभुपाद बोल रहे हैं कि लाइक हरिदास ठाकुर को इमिडिएट करके अकेले बैठ के लाइक 24 घंटा जाप करना स्टार्ट नहीं करना चाहिए।
लेकिन क्या कर सकते हैं?
लाइक प्रभुपाद जो बात हमारे लिए दिए हैं, मिनिमम
आराम से कर सकते हैं। प्रभुपाद ने कहा इट्स नॉट डिफिकल्ट।
मिनिमम 16 राउंड्स
मिनिमम
चैंट करना
कर सकते हैं। तो न्यू ईयर से कौन कौन रेजोल्यूशन ले रहा है 16 वाला करने का? अरे कोई कुछ नहीं बोल रहा है। ठीक है, एक संग्राम प्रभु ने किया, हरी बोल। और कोई उम्मीदवार 16 वाला करने का उम्मीदवार? और कोई कुछ नहीं बोल रहा?
प्रभु जी
अविनाश?
ग्रेजुअली इंक्रीज हो जाएगा।
यस प्रभु जी, हरे कृष्णा।
यस प्रभु।
ये प्रभु जी मैं कोशिश करता हूँ प्रभु जी डेली करने की, और
हाँ,
या फिर ट्राई लेता हूँ कि जितना हो कर पाएगा।
बहुत कठिन नहीं है 16 वाला। ये मन में भ्रम है हमारा कठिन है, कोई कठिन नहीं है, आराम से किया जा सकता है। बिल्कुल इजी है। अगर कोई भी ये प्रण करे तो बिल्कुल डिफिकल्ट नहीं है। यस, आगे बढ़ते हैं, पढ़िए। पढ़िए पढ़िए इसको। कौन पढ़ रहा है?
यस प्रभु जी।
अच्छा ठीक है अंकित, पढ़ो, कंटिन्यू करो।
For his bodily maintenance, he would go to Brahman's house and beg some food. He was spiritually so influential that all the neighboring people worshipped him.
हम्म
Purport. In the days of Haridas Thakur, all the Brahmanas worshipped Narayan in the form of Shaligram Shila. Therefore, begging from Brahman's house meant that taking Krishna Prasadam, which is transcendental, nirguna. If we take food from the houses of others, such as karmis, we shall have to share the qualities of those from whom we take alms. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took prasadam in the house of Vaishnavas. This is general process. The members of Krishna consciousness movement are advised not to take food from anywhere but a Vaishnav's or Brahman's house where deity worship is performed. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, "Visa yera anna khaile, dushta hoya manna." If a devotee takes alms or food from house of karmi who is simply interested in money, his mind will become unclean. We must always remember that a devotee's life is one of vairagya vidya or renunciation and knowledge. Therefore, all devotees are warned not to live unnecessarily luxurious lives at the cost of others. Grihasthas living within the jurisdiction of possible temple must be especially careful not to imitate karmis by acquiring opulent clothing, food, and conveniences. As far as possible, this should be avoided. A member of temple, whether grihastha, brahmachari, sannyasi, must practice a life of renunciation, following in the footsteps of Haridas Thakur and the six Goswamis. Otherwise, because Maya is very strong, at any time one may become a victim of Maya and fall down from the spiritual life.
हम्म बहुत पावरफुल इंस्ट्रक्शन दे रहे हैं प्रभुपाद जी.
A landholder's name Ramachandra Khan was Zamindar of that district. He was envious of Vaishnavas and was therefore a great atheist. Unable to tolerate that such respect was being offered to Haridas Thakur, Ramachandra Khan planned in various ways to dishonor him. By no means could he find any fault in the character of Haridas Thakur. Therefore, he called for the local prostitutes and began a plan to discredit his holiness. Purport. This is typical of atheistic men, but even among so-called religionists, sadhus, mendicants, sannyasis, and brahmacharis, there are many enemies of Krishna consciousness movement who always try to find faults in it, not considering that the movement is spreading automatically by the grace of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who wanted it to spread all over the world in every town and village. We are trying to fulfill the Lord's desire, and our attempt has become fairly successful. But the enemies of this movement unnecessarily try to find fault in us, exactly like the old rascal Ramachandra Khan, who opposed Haridas Thakur. Ramachandra Khan said to the prostitutes, "There is a mendicant named Haridas Thakur. All of you devise a way to deviate him from his vows of austerity." Purport. Devotional service is the path of Vairagya Vidya, renunciation and knowledge. Haridas Thakur was following this path, but Ramachandra Khan planned to induce him to break his vows. Renunciation means renunciation of sensual pleasure, especially the pleasure of sex. Therefore, a brahmachari, sannyasi, or vanaprasth is strictly prohibited from having relationship with women. Haridas Thakur was strictly renounced, and thus Ramachandra Khan called for prostitutes because prostitutes know how to break a man's vow of celibacy by their feminine influence and thus pollute a mendicant or a person engaged in devotional life. It was impossible for Ramachandra Khan to induce any other woman to break Haridas Thakur's vow, and therefore he called for prostitutes. Free mingling with women has never been possible in India, but for one who wanted to associate with society girls, they were available in district of prostitutes. There were prostitutes in human society even in Lord Krishna's time. For it is said the prostitutes of Dwarka city
came forth to receive the Lord. Although they were prostitutes, they were also devotees of Krishna. Among the prostitutes, one attractive young girl was selected. I shall attract the mind of Haridas Thakur, she promised within 3 days. Ramchandra Khan said to the prostitutes, "My constable will go with you so that as soon as he sees you with Haridas Thakur, immediately he will arrest him and bring both of you to me." The prostitute replied, "First let me have union with him once, then the second time I shall take your constable with me to arrest him." At night, the prostitute, after dressing herself most attractively, went to the cottage of Haridas Thakur with great jubilation. After offering obeisances to the tulsi plant, she went to the door of Haridas Thakur, offered him obeisances, and stood there. Exposing part of her body to his view, she sat down on the threshold of the door and spoke to him in a very sweet words. "My dear Thakur, O great preacher, great devotee, you are so beautifully built, and your youth is just beginning. Who is the woman who could control her mind after seeing you? I am eager to be united with you. My mind is greedy for this. If I don't obtain you, I shall not be able to keep my body and soul together." Haridas Thakur replied, "I shall accept you without fail, but you will have to wait until I finish chanting my regular rounds on my beats. Until that time, please sit and listen to the chanting of the holy name. As soon as I am finished, I shall fulfill your desire." Hearing this, the prostitute remained sitting there while Haridas Thakur chanted on his bead until the light of morning appeared. When he saw that it was morning, the prostitute stood up and left, coming before Ramachandra Khan, and she informed him all of the news. "Today Haridas Thakur has promised to enjoy with me. Tomorrow certainly I shall have union with him." The next night, when the prostitute came to Haridas Thakur, gave her many assurances. "Last night you were disappointed. Please excuse my offense. I shall certainly accept you. Please sit down and hear the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra until my regular chanting is finished. Then your desires will surely fulfilled." After offering her obeisances to the tulsi plant and Haridas Thakur, she sat down at the door. Hearing Haridas Thakur chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, she also chanted, "O my Lord Hari, O my Lord Hari." Purport. Herein one can clearly see how Vaishnavas deliver a fallen soul by transcendental trick. The prostitute came to pollute Haridas Thakur, but he took it as a duty to deliver the prostitute. As clearly demonstrated here, the process of deliverance is very simple. With faith and reverence, the prostitute associated with Haridas Thakur, who personally treated her material disease by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Although the prostitute had an ulterior motive, somehow or she got the association of Vaishnav and satisfied him by occasionally chanting in imitation, "O my Lord Hari, O my Lord Hari." The conclusion is that associating with a Vaishnav, chanting the holy name of the Lord, and offering obeisances to the Tulsi plant or a Vaishnav all lead to one to become a transcendental devotee who is completely cleansed and of all material contamination. When the night came to an end, the prostitute was restless. Seeing this, Haridas Thakur spoke to her as follows. "I have vowed to chant 10 million's name in a month. I have taken this vow, but now it is nearing its end." Purport. If one regularly chants 3,33,333 names daily for month 30 days, then chants 10 more names, he will thus chant 10 million names. In this way, a devotee worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such worship is called yagna sankirtan prair yajanti hi sumedhasa. Those whose intelligence is brilliant accept his Hari Nam Yagna or yagna
यज्ञ,
of chanting
यज्ञ,
yagya of the chanting of holy name of Lord. By performing this yagya, one satisfies the supreme personality of Godhead and thus attains perfection in spiritual life. According to external vision, Haridas Thakur belonged to a Muslim family. Nevertheless, because he engaged himself in performing the yagya of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he became a regular initiated Brahman as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam.
यन्नामधेय श्रवणानुकीर्तनाद् यत् प्रवणाद् यत् स्मरणादपि क्वचित् स्वादोऽपि सद्य सवनाय कल्पते कुतः पुनस्ते भगवान् दर्शनात्.
Even if a devotee comes from a family of dog eaters, if he surrenders to the personality of Godhead, he immediately becomes a qualified Brahmana and is immediately fit to perform yagya. However, whereas a person born in family of Brahmins has to wait until completing the reformatory process before he may called samaskrita purified. It is further said in Srimad Bhagavatam.
असंस्कृता क्रिया ही न रजसा तमसावृता प्रजास्ते भक्ष्यन्ति म्लेच्छा राजन्यरूपिणः.
In the age of Kali, Malech or low-born people are who have not undergone the purifying process of samskar, who do not know how to apply the process in actual life, and who are covered by the modes of passion, ignorance, will take the posts of administrators. They will devour the citizens with their aesthetic activities. A person who is not purified
Atheistic
by the
activities. Atheistic. They will devour
a
the
per-
city with their atheistic activities.
atheistic activities. A person who is not purified by the prescribed process of samskar is called asamskrata. But if one remains kriyahina even after being purified by initiation, in other words, if one fails to actually apply the principles of purity in his life, he remains an unpurified malech or yavana. On the other hand, we find Haridas Thakur, although born in Malech or Yavana family, became Namacharya Haridas Thakur because he performed the Nam Yagya minimum of 3 lakh times daily. Herein, we find that Haridas Thakur strictly followed his regulative principle of chanting 3 lakh names. Thus, when the prostitute became restless, he informed her first first he had to finish his chanting, then he would be able to satisfy her. Actually, Haridas Thakur chanted the holy name of the Lord for 3 nights continuously and gave the prostitute a chance to hear him. Thus, she became purified and will be seen in following verses. I thought that today I would be able to finish my performance of Yagya, my chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. I tried my best to chant the holy name all night, but I still did not finish. Tomorrow I will surely finish and my vow will be fulfilled. Then it will be possible for me to enjoy with you in full freedom. Purport: Haridas Thakur never wanted to enjoy the prostitute, but he tricked her to deliver her by giving a chance to hear the holy name of the Lord while he chanted. Pure devotees chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and simply by hearing this chanting from a purified transcendental person, one is purified of all sinful activities. No matter how low born or fallen one may be, as soon as in one thus completely free from the reactions of sinful activities, he is eligible to render devotional service to the Lord. This is the process of engaging the fallen souls in devotional service, as Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita.
येषां तो गतं पापं जनानां पुण्यकर्माणि द्वन्द्वमोह निर्मुक्ता भजन्ते मां दृढव्रता.
Persons who have actually acted piously in previous lives and in this life whose sinful actions are completely eradicated are freed from the duality of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. The prostitute returned to Ramachandra Khan and informed him of what had happened. The next day, she came earlier at the beginning of evening and stayed with Haridas Thakur. After offering obeisances to the Tulsi plant and Haridas Thakur, she sat down on the threshold of the room. Thus she began to hear Haridas Thakur chanting, and she also personally chanted Hari Hari, the holy name of the Lord. Today it will be possible for me to finish my chanting, Haridas Thakur informed her. then I shall satisfy all your desires. The night ended with Haridas Thakur was chanting, but by his association the mind of the prostitute had changed. The prostitute, now purified, fell at the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur and confessed that Ramchandra Khan had appointed her to pollute him. Because I have taken the profession of a prostitute, she said, I have performed unlimited sinful acts. My Lord, be merciful to me, deliver my fallen soul. Haridas Thakur replied, I know everything about the conspiracy of Ramchandra Khan. He is nothing but an ignorant fool, therefore his activities do not make me feel unhappy. On the very day Ramchandra Khan was planning his intrigue against me, I would have left this place immediately, but because you came to me, I stayed here for 3 days to deliver you. The prostitute said, kindly act as my spiritual master, instruct me in my duty by which I can get relief from material existence. Haridas Thakur replied, immediately go home and distribute the Brahmans whatever property you have, then come back to this room and stay here forever in Krishna consciousness. Purport. Haridas Thakur's instruction to the prostitute should distribute the Brahmans all the property she had at home is very significant. Haridas Thakur never advised the prostitute to give charity to the so-called Daridra Narayanas, poor Narayans, or any such person. According to Vedic civilization, charity should be given only to the qualified Brahmans, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita.
शमोदमो तपः शौचं शान्तिरार्जवम् एव च ज्ञानं विज्ञानम् आस्तिक्यं ब्रह्म कर्म स्वभावजम्.
The Brahminical qualifications are truthfulness, control of senses and mind, tolerance, simplicity, knowledge, practical application of transcendental knowledge in one's life, and full faith in Supreme Personality of Godhead. Persons engaged in pursuing spiritual understanding have no time to earn their livelihood. They depend completely on the mercy of the Lord, who says in Bhagavad Gita that he personally carries to them all their necessities.
Yogakshema vahami aham.
The Vedic civilization recommends that one gives charity to Brahmans and sannyasis, not to so-called Daridra Narayans. Narayan cannot be Daridra, nor can Daridra be Narayan, for these are contradictory terms. Atheistic mean invent such concoctions and preach them to fools, but charity should actually be given to Brahmans and sannyasis, because whatever money they get, they spend for Krishna. Whatever charity one gives to Brahman goes to Krishna, who says in Bhagavad Gita,
Yat karosi yad asnasi yad juhosi dadasi yat tapasasi kaunteya tad kurushu madarpanam.
whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as offering to me. Everything actually belongs to Krishna, but so-called civilized men, unfortunately, think that everything belongs to them. This is the mistake of materialistic civilization. The prostitute Vaishya has earned money by questionable means, and therefore Haridas Thakur advised her to distribute to the Brahmanas whatever she possessed. When Srila Rupa Goswami retired from family life, he distributed 50% of his income to the Brahmans and Vaishnavas. A Brahman knows what the absolute truth is, and a Vaishnav knowing the absolute truth, act on the behalf of absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Generally, one earns money by many questionable means. Therefore, at some time, one should retire and distribute whatever one has to Brahmans and Vaishnavas who engage in devotional service by preaching the glories of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. Chant the Hare Krishna mantra continuously and render service to the Tulsi plant by watering her and offering prayers to her. In this way, you will very soon get the opportunity to be sheltered at the lotus feet of Krishna. Purport. At least 5,000 years ago, Lord Sri Krishna expressed his desire that everyone surrender to him. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Why is that people cannot do this? Krishna assures, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshasyami masucha. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Everyone is suffering from the results of sinful activities, but Krishna says if one surrenders unto him, he will protect one from sinful reactions. Modern civilization, however, is interested neither in Krishna nor in getting relief from sinful acts. Therefore, men are suffering. Surrender is the ultimate instruction of the Bhagavad Gita. But for one who cannot surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna, it is better to chant the Hare Krishna mantra constantly under the instruction of Haridas Thakur. In our Krishna conscious movement, we are teaching our followers to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra continuously on beads. Even those who are not accustomed to this practice are advised to chant at least 16 rounds on their beads so that they may be trained.
16 rounds.
At least 16 rounds on the beads so that they may be trained. Otherwise, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended
Pranadapi suni chena taroriva sahishuna amanina manadena kirtanya sadahari.
one should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Sada means always. Haridas Thakur says, Nirantra Nama Lao. Chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra without stopping. Although Krishna wants everyone to surrender to his lotus feet, because of people's sinful reactivities, they cannot do this. Nam,
Namam
Nama,
dushmano muda prapadyante naradhama.
rascals and fools, the lowest of men who engage in sinful activities, cannot suddenly surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna. Nevertheless, if they begin chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and rendering service unto the Tulsi plant, they will very soon be able to surrender. One's real duty is to surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna, but if one is unable to do so, he should adopt this process, as introduced by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his most confidential servant, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur. This is the way to achieve success in Krishna consciousness. After thus instructing the prostitute about the process of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, Haridas Thakur stood up and left, continuously chanting Hari Hari. Thereafter, the prostitute distributed to the Brahmins whatever household possessions she had, following the order of her spiritual master. Sometimes the word griha vritti is substituted for the word griha vitta. Vritti means profession, and the griha vritti of the prostitute was to enchant foolish people and induce them to indulge in sex. Here, however, griha vritti is not a suitable word. The proper word is griha vitta, which means all the possessions she had in her home. All the girls' possessions she has been earned by professional prostitution and were therefore products of her sinful life. When such professions are given to Brahmins and Vaishnav who can engage them in service of the Lord because of their advancement in spiritual life, this indirectly helps the person who gives the charity, for he is thus relieved from sinful reactions. As Krishna promises, Aham Tom Sarva Papebhyo Mokshasyami. I shall save you from all sinful reactions. When our Krishna conscious devotees go out to beg charity or collect contributions in the form of membership fees, the money thus coming to devotees, Krishna conscious movement is strictly employed to advance Krishna consciousness all over the world. The the Krishna conscious devotees collect the money of others for the service of Krishna, and they are satisfied with Krishna prasadam and whatever he gives them for their maintenance. They do not desire material comforts. However, they go to great pains to engage the possessions of prostitutes or person who are more or less like prostitutes in the service of the Lord, and thus free from sinful reactions. A Vaishnav Guru accepts money or other contribution, but he does not employ contribution for sense gratification. A pure Vaishnav thinks himself unfit to help free even one person from the reaction of sinful life, but he engages one hard-earned money in the service of Lord, and thus frees one from sinful reactions. A Vaishnav guru is never dependent on contribution of his disciples. Following the instruction of Haridas Thakur, a pure Vaishnav does not personally take even a single paisa from everyone, but he induces his followers to spend for the service of Lord whatever possessions they have. The prostitutes shaved her head clean in accordance with Vaishnav principles and stayed in that room wearing only one cloth, following in the footsteps of her spiritual master. She began chanting the holy name of Krishna 3 lakhs times a day. She chanted throughout the entire day and she worshipped the tulsi plant, following in the footsteps of her spiritual master. Instead of eating regularly, she chewed whatever food she received as alms, and if nothing was supplied, she would fast. Thus, by eating frugally and fasting, she conquered her senses. And as soon as her senses were controlled, symptoms of love of Godhead appeared in her person. Thus, the prostitute became a celebrated devotee. She became very advanced in spiritual life, and many stalwart Vaishnavas would come to see her. Purport: Stalwart, highly advanced Vaishnav devotees are not interested in seeing prostitutes, but when a prostitute or any other fallen soul become a Vaishnav, stalwart Vaishnavas are interested in seeing them. Anyone can be turned into a Vaishnav if he or she follows the Vaishnav principle. A devotee who follows this principle is no longer on the material platform. Therefore, it is one's strict adherence to principles that should be considered, not the country of one's birth. Many devotees join our Krishna consciousness movement from Europe and America, but one should not therefore consider them European Vaishnav or American Vaishnav. A Vaishnav is a Vaishnav and should be therefore be given all the respect due a Vaishnav. Seeing the sublime character of the prostitute, everyone was astonished. Everyone glorified the influence of Haridas Thakur and offered him obeisances. Purport: It is said, Falena parichyate, one is recognized by the result of his actions. In Vaishnav society, there are many types of Vaishnavas. Some of them are called Goswamis, some are called Swamis, and some are called Prabhus, and some are called Prabhupada. One is not recognized, however, simply by such a name. A spiritual master is recognized as an actual guru when it is seen that he has changed the character of his disciples. Haridas Thakur actually changed the character of the professional prostitute. People greatly appreciated this and therefore they all offered obeisances to Haridas Thakur and glorified him. By inducing a prostitute to disturb Haridas Thakur, Ramachandra Khan caused a seed of offense at his lotus feet to germinate. This seed later became a tree, and when it fructified, Ramachandra Khan ate its fruits. This offense at the lotus feet of an exalted devotee has resulted in a wonderful narration. Taking advantage of the opportunity afforded by these incidents, I shall explain what happened. O devotees, please listen. Ramachandra Khan was naturally a non-devotee. Now, having offended the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur, he became just like a demoniac atheist. Because of blaspheming the cult of Vaishnavism and insulting the devotees for a long time, he now received the results of his offensive activities. Purport: Ramachandra Khan was a great offender at the lotus feet of Vaishnavas and Vishnu, just as Ravan, although born in a Brahman father, Viswasrava, was nevertheless called an Asura Rakshasa because of his offenses against Lord Ramachandra, Vishnu, and Hanuman, a Vaishnav. So Ramachandra Khan also becomes such an Asura because of his offenses against Haridas Thakur and many others. When Lord Nityananda returned to Bengal to preach the cult of Bhakti, love of Godhead, he began touring all over the country. For two purposes: to spread the cult of Bhakti and to defeat the subdue of atheists. Lord Nityananda, the most dedicated devotee of Lord, moved throughout the country. Purport as stated in Bhagavad Gita.
परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे.
Lord Krishna appears in every millennium for two purposes, namely to deliver the devotees and to kill the non-devotees. His devotees also have two similar purposes, to preach the bhakti cult or Krishna consciousness and to defeat all kinds of agnostics and atheist demons. Nityananda Prabhu carried out the order of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this way, and those who strictly follow Nityananda Prabhu perform the same activities. There are two classes of devotees. One is called Go-
गोष्ठिया
Gohasti and other is called Bhajananandi. A devotee who does not preach but always engages in devotional activities is called Bhajananandi, whereas a devotee who is not in is expert in devotional service but who also preaches the cult of bhakti and defeats all kind of agnostics is called Gohasti Anandi. Lord Nityananda, who is omniscient because he is supreme personality of Godhead, came to the house of Ramachandra Khan and sat down on the altar of Durga Mandap. Purport: well-to-do Hindu gentlemen constructed their houses with a well place called Durga Mandap for the worship of goddess Durga. There, they generally held worship of goddess every year in the month of Ashwin, September to October. Ramachandra Khan possessed such a Durga Mandap at his residence. When the Durga Mandap and courtyard became filled with crowds of men, Ramachandra Khan, who was inside the house, sent his servants to Lord Nityananda. Purport: in those days and also even now, the palatial buildings of respectable people, especially in the village of Bengal, were divided into two parts. The inside part, especially meant for family, and the ladies would live there unexposed to men. That part was called Bhitara Badi or inside house. In the outside house or Bahir Badi, the respectable gentleman received visitors and kept his business office. The Durga Mandap would be part of the outside house. Thus, when Lord Nityananda entered the outside house, Ramachandra Khan was in the inside house with the members of family. When Nityananda Prabhu arrived, Ramachandra Khan did not receive him personally but sent his servant to inform him indirectly to go away. The servant informed Lord Nityananda, my dear sir, Ramachandra Khan has sent me to accommodate you in some common man's house. You might go to the house of milkman, for the cowshed is spacious, whereas the space here in Durga Mandap is insufficient because you have many followers with you. When Nityananda Prabhu heard this order from servant of Ramachandra Khan, he became very angry and came out laughing very loudly. He spoke as follows: Ramachandra Khan has spoken rightly. This place is unfit for me. It is fit for cow killing meat eaters. Having said this, Lord Nityananda stood up and left in angry mood. To chastise Ramachandra Khan, he did not even stay in that village. Ramachandra Khan ordered the servant to dig up the dirt in the place where Nityananda Prabhu had sat. To purify the Durga Mandap temple and courtyard, Ramachandra Khan sprinkled and smeared it with water mixed with cow dung, but still his mind was unsatisfied. Ramachandra Khan's business was questionable, for he tried to avoid paying income tax to government. Therefore, the government's minister of finance was angry and came to his residence. The Muslim minister made his residence in the Durga Mandap of Ramachandra Khan. He killed a cow and cooked the meat at the very place. He arrested Ramachandra Khan along with his wife and sons, and then he continuously plundered the house and village for 3 days. In that very room, he cooked the flesh of a cow for 3 consecutive days. Then the next day, he left accompanied by his followers. The Muslim minister took away Ramachandra Khan's position, wealth, and followers. For many days, the village remained deserted. Wherever an advanced devotee is insulted for one man's fault, the entire town or place is afflicted. Haridas Thakur worked until he came to the village known as Chandapur, There he stayed at the house of Balaram Acharya, Parpat. The village of Chandapur is Hiranya and Govardhana were two governmental treasurers in the division of the country. Their priest was named as Balaram Acharya. Balaram Acharya, being favored by Haridas Thakur, was very much attached to him. Therefore, he kept Haridas Thakur in that village with great care and attention. In the village, Haridas Thakur was given a solitary thatched cottage where he performed the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He accepted prasadam at the house of Balaram Acharya. Raghunath Das, who was the son of Govardhan Majumdar and was later to become Raghunath Das Goswami, was at that time a boy engaged in study. He came to see Haridas Thakur daily.
ओके प्रूफ बंद करो 2 मिनट में हम कंक्लूड कर। तो ये जो पास टाइम हुआ ये रामचंद्र खां का मतलब वो जेल में जाना पड़ा, उसको पूरा शहर लूट गया क्योंकि उसने हरिदास ठाकुर के चरणों में अपराध किया था। फिर ये आगे का स्टोरी है, बहुत लंबा चलेगा, तो हम लोग उसको नेक्स्ट सेशन में कभी रीड करेंगे। तो कैसे हरिदास ठाकुर से रघुनाथ दास गोस्वामी मिले और कैसे उन्हें कृपा प्राप्त करी, पढ़िए इसको। नेचुरली हरिदास ठाकुर वॉज
Naturally, Haridas Thakur was merciful towards him, and because of the merciful benediction of this Vaishnav, he later attained the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet.
हाँ, ये रघुनाथ दास गोस्वामी ने बचपन में हरिदास ठाकुर से कृपा प्राप्त करी थी। तो ये एक अलग प्रसंग है ना, इस तरीके से काफी लंबा ये है। जैसे
At the residence of Hiranya and Govardhan, discourses took place by which Haridas Thakur was glorified. O devotees, please listen to that wonderful story.
तो ये वंडरफुल स्टोरी हम लोग बाद में पढ़ेंगे। हाँ, इस तरीके से एक्चुअली चैतन्य चेतामृत में बहुत विस्तृत ये है, तो इसको हम लोग अब बाद में पढ़ेंगे। तो इसी बहाने एक्चुअली पूरा रीडिंग हो जाएगा, है ना। तो कोई कुछ कहना चाहता है इसकी अभी तक जो सुना हम लोगों ने उस विषय में?
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्णा।
हरिदास ठाकुर
एक मिनट, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही मुझे, तो जरा सा यहाँ पे कीर्तन खत्म हो जाए, हरी बोल हो गया। यस प्रभु बताइए।
जैसा नजर आता है कि हरिदास ठाकुर का एकदम 4 लाख नाम लेते थे,
हाँ,
तो आपको 4 लाख नाम का थोड़ा सा एक दिन का कैलकुलेशन समझ में नहीं आता कि कैसे 4 लाख नाम हो सकते हैं।
देखिए सिंपल सा हिसाब है, 16 माला को 25,000 नाम गिना जाता है, तो लगा लीजिए 3 लाख नाम करने से कितने हो गए।
जैसे कि अगर एक दिन में देखा जाए कि एक माला करने में कम से कम अगर 5 मिनट भी माना जाए, तो एक दिन में 24 घंटों में होते तो 40 मिनट होता है।
देखो मैं हिसाब दे रहा हूँ।
मतलब 16 माला को 12 बार करना पड़ेगा।
हाँ, 16 माला इज कंसिडर्ड टू बी
25,000
नेम्स। तो कितना हो गया?
3 lakh divided by 25,000
कितना हुआ?
it gives 12 ऐसा।
बस हो गया। तो अब प्रश्न आपका कि 16 माला में हमको 2 घंटा लगता है, उनको 1.5 घंटा लगता होगा।
नहीं, जैसे 16 माला में हम देखते हैं 16 इंटू 108 तो 1728 बनता है ना।
नहीं, उसको राउंड ऑफ में 25,000 गिना जाता है ना। क्यों गिना जाता है उसके भी कारण। 16 माला में कितने नाम होते हैं? एक माला में, एक मोती में कितने नाम होते हैं?
16
16 इंटू 108 इंटू 16, तो 27,000 को 25,000 गिना जा रहा है मोटा मोटा, ठीक है। तो इस ये हिसाब है, 16 माला को 25,000 नाम गिना जाता है, ये कैलकुलेशन है ना। तो जो 3 लाख नाम है तो आप हिसाब लगा लो फिर, आप कितनी माला होती होगी। 3 लाख डिवाइडेड
12 माला
12 हो गई, क्लियर है। 16 मल्टीप्लाइड बाय 12
12
करते थे अब 12 मतलब एक एक बार 16 वाला 1.5 घंटा लगता होगा, तो 12 मल्टीप्लाइड बाय 1.5 तो 18-20 घंटा लगता था। उसमें भी वो हिसाब था, 12 में भी चार 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 जो माला थी, मतलब 4 राउंड, मतलब 12 बार करेंगे ना 16 माला, तो
जी
तो चार गिन, तो 12 को डिवाइड कर लो, 3 3 3 है ना, इसको कर लो
जी
3+3, नहीं सॉरी सॉरी, 4+4+4
+4।
है ना। तो ये चार करते थे लाउड, मतलब वेरी लाउड, है ना, ये हिसाब था। और चार करते थे ये मतलब वाइब्रेट, है ना, और ये चार कर, और बाकी चार करते थे माइंड में। इस हिसाब से जब करते थे वो, अपन इमिटेट नहीं कर सकते, अपने अपने स्टैंडर्ड से बहुत ऊपर है। प्रोपा जी ने,
मुझे वही कंफ्यूजन था कि 7 लाख का कैसे
हाँ
पॉसिबल है। वही थोड़ा डाउट था कि एकदम में 7 लाख नाम कैसे पॉसिबल है।
नहीं पॉसिबल है, उनके लिए पॉसिबल है, हमारे लिए 16 माला
नहीं
भी possible हो
मतलब
जाए तो बहुत बड़ी बात है।
कि
ऐसे और कुछ, और किसी के मन में कोई जिज्ञासा?
क्योंकि एक और अपना अगर आप चाहें तो अपना एक्सपीरियंस बताया। मैंने आपका वो से देखा था, आप अभी राष्ट्रपति भवन गए थे, राष्ट्रपति से मिले थे, कैसा एक्सपीरियंस रहा?
कहाँ पे गए
और
थे?
राष्ट्रपति भवन गए थे आप,
अरे
राष्ट्रपति
कहाँ
से मिले
हरिदास
थे
ठाकुर
अभी?
से राष्ट्रपति भवन पहुंच गए, वो तो अभी हरदास ठाकुर में चर्चा चल रही है, राष्ट्रपति भवन कहाँ से गाड़ी पहुंच गई।
कहा तो ऐसे करेंगे, आपका पोस्ट देखा था तो इसलिए पूछ रहे।
प्रभु जी बस मोदी जी से जब मिलेंगे उसके बाद आपको बताएंगे एक्सपीरियंस।
ठीक है ठीक।
ठीक है, और कुछ किसी के मन में और कोई जिज्ञासा, कोई आध्यात्मिक जिज्ञासा, ये तो चलता रहता है।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
यस प्रभु।
तो यहाँ पर हमने देखा कि हमें चैंटिंग लाउडली करना चाहिए,
हम्म
लेकिन हमेशा लाउडली चैंटिंग करना तो पॉसिबल नहीं है। और मैंने एक यूट्यूब में वीडियो देखा था जहाँ पर श्रीपाद आइंद्र प्रभु जो हैं वो मतलब जब भी चैंटिंग करते थे वो मतलब माउथ में करते थे, वो सुनाई
हम्म
भी नहीं देता था, वो खुद सुनते थे।
हम्म
तो वो कैसा चैंटिंग करना चाहिए, उनके जैसा
आइंद्र
या
प्रभु को
फिर
अपन हम
लाउडली हमें?
इमिटेट नहीं कर सकते, हमारे लिए चैंटिंग है इतनी ऑडिबल हो कि हम सुन सके और हमारे आसपास 3 4 लोग सुन सके, है ना।
जी प्रभु।
जैसे सिंपल है, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे, दिस इज, है ना। एक बिल्कुल ही आवाज नहीं आ रही है, मरमरिंग चल रही है, वो भी ठीक नहीं, हमारे प्लेटफॉर्म के लिए, उनके प्लेटफॉर्म की बात छोड़िए। हरिदास ठाकुर माइंड में करते थे, तो हम थोड़ी ना कर पाएंगे, माइंड हमारा, मतलब माला पकड़ती है माइंड, चिल्ला चिल्ला के जब करने माइंड भाग जाता है, तो फिर मन में करेंगे तो क्या होगा। तो है ना, मतलब
जी प्रभु।
हमें इतना ऑडिबल करना चाहिए कि हमें सुनाई दे और आसपास खड़े हो 3 4 लोग को सुनाई दे। ठीक है सुमन।
जी प्रभु। जी प्रभु।
और कुछ किसी के मन में?
प्रभु जी एक सवाल था कि वो शिखा जो रखते हैं वो कितनी लंबे होना चाहिए?
क्या प्रभु, क्या होना चाहिए?
शिखा जो चोटी रखते हैं ना, तो
शिखा
चोटी
कितनी लंबी
कटवा
होनी चाहिए?
सकते हैं? हाँ कि कटवा सकते हैं उसे या नहीं कटवा सकते?
हाँ हाँ कटवा सकते हैं, बिल्कुल छोटी ट्रिम इतनी सी होनी चाहिए, बहुत ज्यादा बड़ी भी नहीं होनी चाहिए ना। प्रोपा जी की
ठीक।
देखिए, प्रोपा जी के शिष्यों की देखिए, बहुत लंबी लंबी शिखा नहीं है, कितनी है, इतनी इतनी शिखा होती है, छोटी सी प्यारी सी, है ना।
नहीं वही देखते हैं कि कई वैष्णव जो है बिल्कुल
आजकल
छोटी सी
आज
रखते हैं,
जब
दिखती भी
इस्कॉन
नहीं
में
है।
कुछ फैशन करने के लिए नहीं मिलता, तो भक्त लोग फिर शिखा का ही फैशन करते हैं, तो वो भी जैसा ही नहीं है
हाँ
फैशन।
कई देखते हैं जो उनकी कमर कमर तक भी शिखा आती है
हाँ
पूरी।
तो वो सही नहीं है ना, हार्डली इतनी लंबी होनी चाहिए शिखा, इतनी लंबी, थोड़ी सी इतनी चलेगी बस, है ना।
यहाँ तो देख नहीं रहा है।
ठीक है, और कुछ? ठीक है, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। तो मैं आप लोगों से अनुरोध करूंगा कि नए साल में 16 माला करने का प्रण ले लीजिए, इतना कठिन नहीं है। ठीक है।
यस प्रभु जी मैं लेता हूँ।
ओके थैंक यू। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे,
कृष्ण कृष्ण
हरे
हरे
राम
राम हरे राम।
हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय।
जय।